everyone, and welcome to the interest meeting for Teach for America. Today we are going to be discussing founder Wendy Kopp and how she created, impacted, and influenced Teach for America. At the end of the presentation, Wendy Kopp will actually be joining us to answer any questions you might have. Does anyone have any questions before I begin?
Are you going to be reading from the outline the whole time? Because if so, that's going to be really annoying.
That's cool. Let's begin with the background of Wendy and Teach for America. The founder of Teach for All is Wendy Sue Kopp. She was born in Austin, Texas, to her parents who were owners of a small business that produced newsletters. They moved the business around from Austin to San Antonio, and then eventually to Dallas, where they finally settled down. Wendy was a hardworking student and was involved in many extracurricular activities. She graduated from Highland Park High School and continued her education at Princeton University as a public policy major. Throughout her time at the university, she began to recognize the disparity in preparedness between students who came from a poorer background and those who came from richer backgrounds. This drove her to make the decision to write her senior thesis about creating an organization that served nationwide in recruiting teachers from top universities in the world to teach in underserved areas. In the spring of her senior year, she began to reach out to top corporations with her proposal in order to gain funding. She received an offer from Union Carbide to give her an office space in New York City, and Mobil Oil gave her a grant to get her feet on stable ground. Upon graduation in 1989, Wendy moved to New York City to begin the creation of Teaching Corps. She worked that summer to line up donors to meet with school system to gauge their interest in the program. She began to reach out with her hired staff and began to build a network of representatives that would be on college campuses to recruit potential teachers. In their first 4 months, they received 2,500 applications and only selected 500 of those to be in the top charter corps for that upcoming year. Those selected spread across the country, leading to the very first year of Teach for America. Teach for America received national attention after how successful it was in the first year. Now that you all know a little bit more about Wendy and her background, let's discuss her leadership style. Wendy is a transformational leader. A transformational leader can be defined as someone who wants to change both individuals and a social system. Wendy is a perfect example of someone who's trying to change individuals and a social system. The education system was not fair and suppressing the poor while raising the rich. She doesn't believe it's fair for the lower class to bypass helpful education when the elite had access to some of the best schooling in the world. She created Teach for America and later Teach for All to help elevate the underserved students and provide them with an education that will foster their growth into the working world. Now, the moment you have all been waiting for. It is my honor, with a great pleasure, to welcome Wendy Kopp. Crap, this is really awkward, sorry. There we go.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for letting me come in and talk to you all today. How's everyone doing?
Good.
Great.
Glad to hear it. Well, does anyone have any questions they would like to ask for Teach for America, myself, or anything else?
Yeah, I was interested in hearing more about your leadership style. What do you think the strengths and weaknesses of transformational leadership are?
I really appreciate you asking that question. I would consider myself a transformational leader, meaning the goal of my leadership is to motivate my followers towards a common goal and a version of educational equity. One of my strengths is that it focuses on individual development and growth within an organization. One of the weaknesses being it is tackling large social issues that can be very discouraging, and being a transformational leader is a lifelong job that requires incredible amounts of time, attention, and dedication.
Thank you. Follow-up question. I know that Teach for America has received criticisms about not drawing from a diverse group of teachers. How do you develop and sustain a diverse group of teachers?
Thank you for asking that question. I believe it is incredibly important to ensure we are drawing from a diverse group of teachers in order to provide the best education for the children we're supporting. Teach for America is currently drawing applications from over 500 colleges and universities from across the country. Many people assume our selection process is only based on the metrics of how good a teacher is. While that is important to take into consideration, that's not the only qualification we consider when looking through an application. We spend huge quantities of time looking into their personal characteristics and deciding if they will be able to become a transformational leader or not. For the preparation of teachers, we have developed a system that will train the teachers to be the best of their ability and set them up for success and give them the skills they need in order to perform at their highest level while teaching in these low-income communities.
Another question. How is Teach for America cultivating leadership in their core members?
Great question. It is obvious that the opportunity gap exists within our education system inside the United States. Whole communities are giving schools that were never created to meet the needs of the community, therefore presenting more challenges to the students than there already are. Education is a key component to how someone is set up for life and how they live their life. The complexity of this issue presents itself by giving no real solution. Drastic changes needed in schools, policy, legislation, and teachers. But there's one place that we can start, and it's providing these communities with the best of the best. The problem lies where there are many educated and many promising teachers, but they do not want to teach in these communities. At Teach for America, we want to close this gap and channel those teachers into these communities in order to give these children a better education.
To co-construct a vision of the future that works for all, not for some. You don't need to wait to find yourself in a position of influence. We need you now. Seek out a conversation with someone who has a radically different point of view and listen generously. Be curious and willing to be surprised. Understand that just like you, they have hopes and fears, things they value, and things that make them feel vulnerable. Make time to do the inner work to understand yourselves, know your deepest values, and take time for your own healing, because as we ground ourselves, we're able to be more generous with others and more generative in our public and collective spaces. Always look around the table and invite in voices that are not heard. And if you're the one who can offer an unheard perspective, something that can move our shared humanity forward, have the courage to speak up even when it feels difficult. Real progress requires moments of tension, and if we approach those moments with generosity and curiosity rather than resistance and blame, we can find entirely new ways forward. This may be slow in the beginning, but I've come to realize that many diverse people trusting each other and working together is the only path to achieving a just, peaceful, sustainable, inclusive world. I'm placing my hopes in you.
Thank you. Any more questions?
All right, everybody. Wendy, thank you for coming in. Can I get a round of applause for Wendy? We appreciate you coming in and taking time out of your day. So thank you, Wendy.
Thank you for having me.
Does anybody have any follow-up questions for today? No?
Was it just me, or was Wendy Kopp a man dressed as a woman?
Well, yeah, she does have manly features, but she's a very attractive woman. Well, that wraps up our meeting. Thank you for coming in, and I hope you were able to get a lot of knowledge about Wendy and her organization. You can change the world one step at a time with Teach for America.